All right, I am very excited about this video today. Today we are going to be talking about the best budget harness you could possibly buy. So when I made my budget tree work video, which is my most popular video, I got a lot of criticism because I think the harness that I recommended as like a cheap harness was like the Tree Motion S Lite. And the issue there was I was looking at kind of what's available on regular like arborist suppliers. So a modern arborist harness is going to run you about $400, like at least for like a modern style harness. Right now it's Black Friday season, so if you're looking, you can get my harness, the Camp Tree Access Pro. Usually ends up on sale for about $300 around this time of the year. Right now, Arb Session Pry is the best deal with the Tree Rex, which is a like $500 to $600 harness on sale for $200. So, you know, if you're able to wait for sales, then you can get better harnesses cheaper. But the harnesses that are below that are kind of the more like traditional weaver style harnesses, especially like the bosun seat harnesses. So maybe you can get down to like $250, but those are very uncomfortable harnesses. That's where Amazon comes in. So if you just search tree climbing harness on Amazon, you're going to get a lot of results for about $50. The issue is, you know, we have all these cheap harnesses, and how do you know who you can trust? So that's where kind of our safety standards come in. So we have different certifications that our harnesses are required to meet, and kind of if you're checking the tags, then you can kind of understand if you're looking at something that is trustworthy. So, for example, I looked through a bunch of those different harnesses, and the one that I found was this SOB brand harness. So it's a little bit more expensive than the other $50 ones. This one was like $64 maybe. But the important thing was, if you looked at their description and customer photos of the tags on the harness, so we have the European certification for these harnesses, and we have the American one. The American one is the ONSI 877, but more commonly you'll see the European one, which there's two. There's two different regulations for a harness. One is just for the harness with the main ring as a whole, and the other one is the certification for the work positioning D-ring. So it's EN 813 and 358. I don't remember which is which, but that's important because when I was looking at one of the other harnesses, I don't remember which brand that one was, but it carried a certification. But if you looked up the certification that they said that it carried, it was an out-of-date certification. It tells you that they're not really doing the correct research to comply to the safety standards for a life support harness, which is really important. So if you are going to buy something inexpensively like an Amazon tree climbing harness, you just got to look a little bit deeper. You know, anything you see on an arborist supply site, you can trust what you see there. You don't really have to do any research about those harnesses. If you're going to try to go a little bit cheaper, I would recommend that you're doing your research and looking into it to make sure that you're at least picking up something that is as trustworthy as you can find, you know? Let's get into it, shall we? Let's see what this thing's about. As far as I could see from the images, it looks like it's a mix of a Camp Tree Access and a OG Sequoia clone. So we have our little declaration of conformity right here. Paperwork, which I think is referring to some of the safety standards here. Yeah, we have the EN 358, which is for the work positioning and fall restraint, and then the 813, and then it also has the 361, which is for full body harness, because the SOB brand also sells like full fall arrest harnesses. And so, I really like this already. So if you buy the Camp Tree Access Pro without the top harness, they do not give you these rings in the back so that you can add the Camp GT or whatever brand harness to it, which is kind of lame because they're Evo you can do it, but for whatever reason with the Pro they don't offer it. But Just like the tree access saddles, we have like a regular rope access kind of life support clipping point here, and we have these rings in the back, so we could add a Y style fall arrest harness to it if we wanted to. But going through it right away, it looks really small. There was only one size available, and we will see if this fits me, because this thing looks tiny. I saw one of the reviewers on Amazon said they bought this as like their hunting saddle for their kid, and yeah, this would be perfect for a kid. It looks like the waist belt is super small, and then the leg loops are just regular, like seem like a pretty regular leg loop size. So, you know, keep in mind it's $50, you know. But we got 4 gear loops around here. We got elastic leg bands, which right away is causing me a little bit of doubt about that third qualification for like the full fall arrest, because on every full fall arrest harness I know of, these back straps I think have to be life support material, not the stretchy bungee stuff. No matter what you buy, you have to inspect it before you use it. So going through our inspection, any kind of life support harness, all of the life support stitching has to be a contrasting color. That's a standard in the EN standards, and that's a standard in the ANSI standards. So anywhere you see the gray stitching contrasted against the black, that is a life support stitch. So the big important ones are, this is a pretty standard style of constructing a kind of harness to kind of spread out the weight. We have like these two life support straps back here, and it's kind of nice that nothing's covered, so we can see all of the life support materials. None of it's hidden behind like a cover. But we have these ones in the back, which I think, based on how I'm seeing this sewn, is just for these rings. It doesn't attach these at all. It looks like all the terminations for the big loops are right up here at the corners and stuff. And everything looks really good. This is just a very standard like harness, like rope access harness style. There's no quick buckles, you know. We have two slide buckles on either side of the waist belt and slide buckles on the legs. The only thing that I see that's of any concern is just the way that these different nylon pieces are connected together for kind of the support between the bridge and the legs. This happens on some other harnesses where you have free moving nylon parts against each other, but usually what manufacturers will try to do is they'll add like a nylon sleeve that's not part of the life support around the life support to kind of protect those two textiles from wearing each other out. If I'm guessing what's going to cause you to have to discontinue use of this harness, it would be one of these, either these bridge supports or one of these other leg supports from just wearing out completely, just because it's nylon on nylon. There's nothing protecting them, and they can free move, and that's going to shift while you're climbing and probably start to wear through the leg supports and stuff. But yeah, and it's got the Sequoia style rings where you can pop out and put a different bridge in there. So, and the padding's nice. It's not just solid padding. It kind of looks like the old Sequoia padding. The leg padding is just straight, but I think that this harness would work if it fits you. Should we try it on to see if it's gonna work? It's a little bit small, but it fits on. This leg loop design is not very well thought out. An issue that I just figured out while I was putting it on now is that, so these D-rings can be flipped forwards or backwards, which is nice if you're in if you're using this as a fall arrest and you're in a bucket or something. The leg support loop, you know, speaking of another thing that's just allowed to rub freely on the other life support, the whole D-ring can get passed through that like leg loop strap and get like pulled around the back. I would expect this harness to not last a very long time because I think all of these little parts would wear out. One issue that I'm noticing just now as I'm going over this is that there are no slots for a carry tool or any kind of chainsaw carrier. So that's a pretty huge downside to this harness. I mean, you could always old school it and just hang your saw off a rope, but there's nothing other than the gear loops. We don't have a slightly higher rated haul loop here or anything. I mean, you could clip this, but you never want to clip any part that's part of the life support, unless you have a lanyard that's like a breakaway lanyard. So that's kind of a problem. But let's see how it climbs in our nice, beautiful oak here. All right, we are now way up in the top of this nice, beautiful oak. My GoPro died, so I couldn't really get any video of this climb, but climbed up here in that SOB Tree Climbing Harness. It's for 50 bucks, or I think this was 60 bucks. You're not gonna get anything better, and it has the ratings that it needs to be a safe saddle to climb in, but it is way too small. I would consider it too small for me. I'm 6'2" and like 180 pounds with like a 32-inch waist. You'd have to be kind of a tinier person for this saddle to fit you well. And there's no place to install like a carry tool. So you can't even carry a chainsaw well on this harness unless you sew your own straps on. But then again, you're getting it for 50 bucks. And I think I would stand by what I said in my first budget tree climbing video, and that you should just save the money to buy a good harness that's like $300 to $400, because they do last. If you take care of them, they last for a very long time. Could last you like 5 years. If you're going to be climbing in it like every day, you want to spend the money on something like that. It's not bad. I would maybe only recommend this to somebody who's using it for recreational tree climbing, because it's the cheapest harness you're going to get with side D-rings. But for a work everyday harness, this is not something that I could recommend. So if you're going to do tree work, this is not it. Spend the money. Do some other jobs that don't involve climbing to get the money to buy a decent harness. You don't have to spend a ton of money on gear from there. The harness is pretty much the most expensive thing. That and spikes. Spikes are really hard to get cheaply. Don't skimp on this harness if you're going to be using it for work. Would not recommend using this for work, but it's cold up here. Let's get down and get some Thanksgiving food. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and thank you for watching the video.
Fly away. It's the first time of today. To dream, believe you are the.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching.